for Bottom of the Smash Mountain, Season 2, Episode 44, Game Sense Activate. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jesse. You can call me Cypher. You get it. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. Wow, what a weekend. But before we get into any of that, I want to introduce the person who's come on for an interview today. We got Bbatts. That's right. Bbatts, your fraudulent number 10 ranked player in New Jersey, is here to talk Melee and origin story and all that fun stuff. And we do address the fraudulent thing, by the way. You'll get that in just a second. This is a great interview. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy the interview. We shall talk afterwards about all the summit shenanigans. Here we are, bottom of the Smash Mountain, and today I'm so happy to be joined by the number 10 fraudulent New Jersey rankings player. We have Bbatts here with us tonight. Bbatts, thank you so much for joining me.
I wasn't expecting that. It's good to be here. It's good to be here.
So why is it fraudulent? I'm pulling from your Twitter bio, obviously. By the way, at Bbatts523 for those interested. It'll be in the description of the podcast, but please explain that to me because I thought that was very funny as well.
Yeah. So I said fraudulent because New Jersey has a history of fraudulent power rankings. Our last power ranking was a very short season because of COVID. In person. At least that's what I've heard, because I wasn't super active during that time. Well, I wasn't active at all. But the number 10 on fraudulent NJ rankings is referring to the rollback New Jersey rankings, where around 4 of our top players actually opted out of being ranked or couldn't be ranked because they didn't play online. So, like, the Swooper wasn't on it, and Wally wasn't on it, and, like, a lot of names that were on traditional rankings. So, like, I'm number 10, but in reality, if you were to put, like, an actual ranking together, I would have probably been, like, number 16 at that time.
But in all fairness to you, New Jersey is a bit of a power state, or would you disagree with that?
New Jersey is a state full of... I would say everyone on our rankings has the ability to be, like... 60 and below in the world. Like, on a good day, all of us have that potential to have that run. I will include myself because I know I've had great runs, but knowing, like, the people who were above me, I could fully see them, like, doing great things. Like, Dark Gen X, shout out to Justin, by the way, a great guy, but Dark Gen X, like, who's, like, number, I believe, 6 or 7 on that PR. Oh, no, who's number 6 on that PR. Qualified for LACS along with 404 Cray, like LACS 2. So it's like we all have like really good peaks in on netplay right now. So we're a stacked state. I love them. I love all the guys.
So for you, how did you get started with Melee? Because you were talking about how you weren't super active before COVID. Does that mean that you got your start in the online era, or take us through the beginnings for you in Melee?
How can I put this? I have my first LAN tournament where I mained Peach, who's the character most people would probably know me for. Well, everyone would know me for. Was 2 months ago. Not 2 months ago, a month and a half. I was a netplay kid from the start, because I was an Anthers Ladders baby. Forged in the fires of hatred and being told that I was a lame, boring player. And through that, I grew and developed completely online. I would say that I played on Anthers Ladders solely for a long time. Like, that was my exposure to Melee, where I basically played most characters. Peach was my go-to, and then I had, like, a Samus secondary along with some of the Spaceys. But then I was kind of invited to this one netplay server called Buffalo Melee, with called New England Online Melee or something. And there I met some people who I'm like friends with to this day in the online scene. From there I went to a server called Buffalo Melee, and that's when I started entering like weekly delay-based netplay tournaments. Like my start in this community is completely based around delay-based netplay. Like I never expected something like rollback to happen. I expected during COVID, I was just sitting there and I was like, wow, I'm gonna get as good as I can, and no one's gonna think I'm good because it's all delay-based netplay, and it's trash, because netplay was trash. But through the fires of delay-based, I finally got like my real starts to tournaments, where I started entering like a lot consistently around April. It was actually around like March to April of last year. Like, so basically COVID starts, like what am I gonna do? And I just started entering a lot of tournaments. A lot of net play tournaments, courtesy of the Buffalo Melee guys, and then I start entering other tournaments outside of those, like an Untitled every once in a while, and then out of nowhere, rollback net play comes out, and then I start growing and developing with it because, as it turns out, if you're good on delay-based melee, that means that you might have a chance of being good on rollback melee. And that might translate to real life. And that's what I'm seeing right now. It's been great.
That's fantastic to hear how you started with a not ideal online situation, but then it got better and you felt that upgrade, that power up. So were you Peach from the... So I heard other characters that you like to play for in Anther's Ladder, but when did you like get serious with Peach, I guess is what I'm asking.
I went serious with Peach... basically since I would say March of last year. That was when, like, March to April, I was like, all right, I have to pick a character. I can't be moving around. I'm not good enough to be picking characters. And I decided I landed on Peach because I just I loved her kit. I love turnips. If Peach didn't have turnips, I don't think I could play her. I love turnips so much, and they're the sole reason why I think I made Peach. But I got serious with her around April last year, like looking at my tournament results and stuff. Like, that's when I actually was entering brackets solely as Peach, and I was having a lot of fun with it.
I'm glad to hear that you were entering a lot of events, not just for the sake of saying, I want to be like the best player in the world or kind of a thing. It was also just something that you really enjoyed doing. If you could talk about that a little bit more about balancing like having fun with the game versus being like serious and trying to do tech skill practice and that sort of thing. Like, how would you say, especially when COVID hit and as rollback came out, like how you would treat getting better versus living the rest of your life?
I would say that Melee took a big step into my life at this point when COVID started, because like I'm sitting there like at home the entire day with no school, like online school, which lasted for like 3 to 4 hours a day, and afterwards I had nothing. So I was trying to figure out like what I would do. Like, how was I going to, what was I going to do? And I decided to focus my time onto Melee because I was like, all right, if I'm going to be doing anything, I want to do something I've always wanted to do, which is compete. I'm always been a competitive person, but I've never had something to be competitive in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never picked something to try to be good at or try to just improve at. And I landed on Melee. And when I did, I kind of just made it so that, like, all right, I took a very unorthodox approach, and it's definitely hurt me in my development, but I also think it helped me a lot in other aspects of my Melee development, which is, like, I have not invested a lot of time into solo practice of this game. In fact, I've invested very little of it, especially early on. What I did was I invested a lot of my time just playing friendlies versus good people who would beat me, and just seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, and just repeating scenarios over and over again in my mind until I could find ways to win. So when it comes to like some tech skill aspects of the game, even some basic ones, I still definitely struggle. But I make up for it with, I think, a really good game sense for someone who's been playing for as long as I have. At least playing competitively for as long as I have.
See, I think that's where the clutch Bbatts comes in, because we have seen you pull off some crazy comebacks in more recent tournaments that you have popped off a little bit in. And this combined with the fact that somebody... Okay, I have to pull up this tweet because I thought it was very funny. This is from Faust SSBM on
Faust.
Twitter. Bbatts is an enigma of a player to me. Crazy fast. Awesome punish game. Super good in the scramble. But the second he gets nervous, he will down smash 3 times on the platform and forget he can shield drop. That's the duality of a Peach main. Like, I'm just curious about your perspective of, do you think that you're with the game sense that you were talking about, how being in just competitive scenarios, whether you're playing friendlies or money matches or just playing in bracket, that you've kind of hit that gamer gene that the people talk about, where you sort of get into a tense clutch situation and you go, I got this?
I'd say yes. I've, but mine comes out in a very unorthodox way, where mine is me just comforting myself almost. So like I was playing JFlex and I'm down like 80% last stock, game 5, winner gets top 16 at GOML, and I wanted top 16 at GOML because I think that's a really that was like been one of my goals ever since I started playing netplay. I started playing Melee. And I remember, like, in the clip, you can hear me, and I remember this because, like, I'm feeling it. I'm, like, completely exhausted. I haven't eaten anything all day. So, like, my brain is, like, using the last of its energy. So, out loud, I'm sitting there, and he does all this damage, like, clean up the stock, and I'm at high percent. I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, you're okay. You're okay. You're fine. You're good. You're gonna be all right. Like, just, and then he gets a grab, and I'm at 90 now off stage. I'm like, you're good. You're fine. You're okay. This isn't bad. You're okay. And then, like, it goes to the point where it's like, I thought I had the kill and I didn't. So then it reverses and he gets back to center stage, and then you just hear me go, it reversed. You're fine. You're fine. Like, and I'm saying that out loud, but in my head, like, I'm trying to convince myself of something. That's me trying to argue something. In my mind, I am not feeling like I am clutch. In my mind, I'm going, you're trash. Like, you can't even kill him. You sent him back to center stage, so now you gotta win neutral against JFlex again. Like, you're gonna do that. And then I did. You know why I did? Because I was fine. And I was okay.
I've heard it said like a few different times, like, don't tell me I'm okay, don't tell me it's fine. I don't want to hear that, but it's something that's working out for you, it sounds like.
Oh, so, I wanted to hear it. I had to hear it there, man.
But yes, that was going to be one of the topics of discussion for sure, to talk about your GOML run. This happened a week or two ago now, the Get On My Line online event for 2021, and that was one of the big storylines that surprised a bunch of people. Who is this Bbatts person making top 16? And it was very impressive, of course, beating JFlex, another New Jersey player. So it kind of feels like, is this a local, or is this like Get On My Line, where there's a lot more people watching than the average New Jersey local kind of a thing? So other than that game 5 last stock, last hit situation, what else was that day like for you? I heard that you didn't eat much. That sounds like something that could happen to you at a LAN tournament where you just forget to eat all day, but at your house, that does not sound fun, where you feel like you can't leave your room at all because you're gonna, like, what, miss something, or what happened? Did you just forget to eat?
I was just so stressed because I saw my bracket and I was sitting there, and to get to top 16, I played 3 game 5 sets in a row. So, and each of those sets gave me panic attacks for different reasons. The first set against Zeker, I almost got reverse 3-0'd. The next set against Zorako, I had to reverse 3-0. Both positions are not the ones you want to be in when you're, like, panicking trying to do your best at this tournament. So then, like, I just didn't, like, I just, in my mind, I was just thinking, like, if I leave, I will be out of the tournament mindset. If I leave my room, if I even get up out of my room, I'll be knocked out of my tournament mindset, and I'll be out. Like, that was it was a bad mindset. It was an unhealthy mindset, because 100% I should be eating and just making sure I'm okay. But I really just didn't want to lose focus of what I was trying to do, because I saw my bracket and I had beaten all 3 of these people before, but all of them had beaten me before. So that was like a scary bracket. It's a bracket where I could have lost to Zeker, or I could have made it to top 16. But I could have lost to everyone in between. It was hard. That run was hard. Jeez.
So when you are able to successfully make it through a run like that, and then eventually, bow out of the tournament and not necessarily get first, but do you feel like that's a step forward in the right direction with you, or did you play your last set that day thinking to yourself, I want more. I've gotten this far, now I want more.
I think with where I'm at, I've learned the value of smelling the roses, even if my goal is to eventually leave. Like, my goal is to get better. Like, the metaphor I've used for other players who have this, like, intense, I will never be satisfied mindset is, like, smell the roses even if you're driving past them. Like, you can always be happy about your results and always be satisfied or be like, okay, I'm really happy. I'm super happy I made that GOML run. And I'm so proud that I made it to day 2 of a 476 person tournament. Where I beat multiple players, like multiple master level players, and was one of the 8 East Coast people to make it out of pools. I thought that was an incredible feeling. But I think I should have won my next set, and I think I should have been able to make it further. So now that's where I'm setting it, where it's like, I'm so happy I did this. I'm so happy I clutched it out, but I want to keep going. And I want to make I want to get 9th at the next major. I want to get 7th after that. It's like that's been my mindset about that tournament for a while.
For a lot of people, the general impression for getting really good at Melee and getting into top 8s at majors is that you have to play for a significant period of time. And for you have been playing for a while, but maybe perhaps someone would look at the resume and go, discounted because it's online, that's delay-based, that's not real Melee or something. But I'm sure you know this better than I do, of all the people that have been powering up, especially in the past 12 months with Rollback, that if you've had any chance to play at all online before that or at the start of it, even by now, you would have played enough events and hopefully practiced enough and that kind of thing that you can get to a point where you're starting to not go 0-2 anymore, even if it is a 400-person event. But from your from your opinion, do you feel that as we continue to transition back more into IRL events, that online players, or the Wi-Fi warriors, if you want to call them that, are going to be able to treat that as a power-up as well and improve even faster?
I think that the next top 100 will have the most new entrants in history of the top 100 because of Rollback. Because I think that there are so many players that have improved to this level, have improved way past where they were on LAN, and there are a lot of LAN players who decided, I'm not going to be big in the net play era. I don't need it. Net play is fake Melee. And they're going to come back, and they're not going to have a clue what's hitting them, because you have so many people who have grinded their asses off for a year and a half, while they were, even if they were playing like regular Melee, they weren't like or playing CRT Melee with their 2 friends, or like playing CRT Melee at home, like solo grinding. I think that what they're going to struggle with is all the people coming back in and like ready to kill it. Like, I think that I had an advantage coming in to a lot of LAN tournaments versus other people, because I'm going into a LAN tournament, and like that's probably not even my first tournament of that week. Hell, that's probably not my third. And so I've been in a competition mindset. I've been playing competitive Melee, while like a lot of people in this current stage, they're going into these tournaments and they're just and it's their first tournament back. Like, I went to the first Xanadu coming back, and like I had entered like 3 tournaments in the 3 days before that, which helps me a lot. Which helps because I'm ready to play, right? But a lot of them weren't, so I picked up like good wins there, and that shows me that it translates to LAN, but pretty well, I'd say. I'd say that right now there's a lot of case studies going on with like a lot of the net play kids. Like, I won't even use myself. I'll say someone like Ben, for example. Like, Ben has been good in his region, but online has become like a top 100 player. And now he's coming back, and like he's top 2ing all his locals, and like he's only losing to like 100 grand, a top 100 player, in game 5 sets. Like it's interesting. I think the net play era right now has helped so many people improve and grow, and I think it's going to be crazy to see what actually comes out. Because I think in a year from now, the top player scene is going to look so different than where it was pre-COVID.
And it has to happen even just naturally, just over the passage of time. Some people might play the game for 5 years and then be done. Some people might play for 10 years, for 15 years, and then you just reach that point and you go, for whatever reason, I'm going to take a step back. And that's all fine and well, but I've been really enjoying the storyline of the players that are sort of coming up now in the rollback era who have been playing the game for a decent amount of time, because it is still insanely hard to improve in a fast way for Melee. I loved the interview with Lovage and Ben on one of the SCL days where Lovage is like, so you've been playing for like a year or so, huh? And Ben's like, no, 6 years. And Lovage is like, oh, of course, sorry, my bad. It still takes time to get better. One of the things that you were saying, by the way, that caught my attention is how you'll just enter in a ton of events. I didn't look at your Smash GG page, but I will take your word for it. Holy cow. 3 tournaments before going to Xanadu, which is a Wednesday, my dude. So please tell me, how do you avoid burnout? Is it because yeah, you're playing as Peach. You don't have to, your hands don't feel as sore. Or like, what's the secret here?
That's part of the reason. I'd say the other reason is because I've always been like a person who just can't stop himself from like doing the thing he really wants to do. Like and like what I've wanted for so long is to like compete and do well at Melee tournaments, right? Like that's something that ever 4 years ago you would have seen me playing on a Dolphin emulator with my brother David. And I would have like been dreaming about being even close to the position where I am now. So at this point, now that I have the skill of where I've wanted to be for so long, right? I'm now just thinking, why don't I just enter everything I can to get better, to get more results, and to try to do things that I've always wanted to do. So like I've always wanted to win a competitive bracket over multiple people, and I've achieved that goal. I've achieved that goal a few times now. Well, obviously I've achieved it a few times. I'm a good enough player where I can win things. But like I would say another big one for me is like I've always wanted to. There's a few characters I've always wanted to do well. So if I see that someone who mains a character that I've like been practicing my ass off to beat enters, I'll enter a bracket to try to beat them, because I want to like prove to myself I can. There are specific like benchmarks I've always wanted, which is like I've always wanted to make top 8 at like tournaments that have over like 100 people. So like when I see a tournament that has over 100 people, I'll decide to enter day of. Like I never really plan my brackets like days ahead. I plan my brackets 30 minutes before bracket starts. The only brackets where I've like planned a few days ahead would be the LAN tournaments I've entered recently, because I can't really take a 3-hour drive 30 minutes notice. But yeah, so like I guess the way I've avoided burnout is whenever I feel myself like unable to play Melee anymore, I'll take 2 days. And since I'm a kid and since my brain recovers quickly, I get back to the grind whenever I want to. And sometimes I'll be burnt out and I'll just still decide to enter, and then me entering will unburn out my brain. Like, it's crazy. But, I'm happy about it. I'm happy I have the ability to enter all these tournaments.
Super Bbatts. How many nicknames do you have for Bbatts, by the way? Because I'm just thinking of them, but it has to be easy and also an annoying thing for you. So please tell me to stop when you need me to.
The nicknames that people have given me for Bbatts, honestly, the only one I've really heard is Bbatts, a reference to my name. A reference to both my nickname and my real name, which is a very strange thing, because my real name is William, and then, which isn't really doxing myself, because everyone knows because of my Smash.gg page anyway. But my real name is William, and then so the nickname that comes from that is Billy. That's where my tag comes from, Billy Bbatts. Because my last name is also on my Smash.gg page. So it's Batista, so, Bats. So the thing that I, like, so basically, I'll just hear random people, like, people I haven't had a full conversation with. I know them, but, like, I haven't had a full conversation with before. Like, someone like Zuppy. I go into his Twitch chat, and Zuppy just goes, like, oh, how, he's like, oh, sorry, I do the Zuppies deep voice. What's up, Billy and Bbatts? And I was like, what? I've never expected to hear like so like Zuppy, like a player that like I've seen, like a player I've seen a lot of brackets. I played him before. I was just sitting there. I was like, why is he calling me Billy and Bats? I hate the nicknames. I hate them so much because random people who I don't know are just dropping Billy and Bats on me. Oh my god, nicknames are crazy. I that's the only one that's come up though. I actually haven't heard that many for me so far.
I think I saw Clutch Bats by somebody else, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what you did there.
So someone said Clutch Bats? Oh, that's the name of the Twitter. That's the name of the clip against JFlex. That also existed actually. I believe that was spammed in chat a lot. That also comes because of the fact that the pop off I did after I beat JFlex. Which, for the record, I was very nervous I was going to pass out, because as I said before, I hadn't eaten anything all day before playing that, and it was super intense, and I clutched it out, and I was, like, almost gasping when I won. But then I realized if I did pass out, I would have gotten so many subs. And I'm actually really mad with myself that I didn't push myself to pass out after I beat JFlex. You know?
It's a fine line to walk.
You know how many subs I would have gotten, though? You know how many? Like, just think of the number. Like, how many viewers I would have gotten, because they would have clipped that. Gloomshot would have had me front page. Hell, Peng Boys would have had me front page. But, like, I didn't even get that. The fact that I didn't pass out means, like, I lost my chance. I would have, my stream would have become, like, top 5 Melee if I had passed out there. But I choked. That's on me, you know? That tells me that I'm not Clutch Bats.
That is such a based mindset. Oh my gosh. No, I think that what would have been even better is you actually losing and then passing out from being so upset. Like, it just would have been a subversive expectational kind of thing. People be like, wow, what would happen if Bbatts actually won that game? And here's the other thing. You still have levels of popping off to hit as you continue to grow and climb the Melee ladder. Like, imagine making top 8. Maybe that's pass out worthy for your brain. What about getting to losers finals or getting to winners finals, making it to grands, winning grands? Hey, these are things, these are levels. Maybe as the intensity goes up and as your brain starts to degenerate, now that it's going to no longer expand and be super young and energetic. Because Hungrybox, for the record, is not 18 or anything like that. He's not super old, but, like, you know, it's kind of weird to think. Right. It's kind of weird to think of, like, Hungrybox being like a quote unquote older player, but it is true. I mean, he's getting close to 30, as I recall, just like loosely in my brain. It was like, you know, was coming up in like 2000 and 2007, 2008 or whatever. So that was a long time ago. All that to say, you have places that you have yet to go, and I think you're going to get there with twitch.tv/Bbatts. What is the growth mindset for you in the stream? Because as a Melee player, of course, you streaming tournament runs, that makes sense. That's content, as always. But do you think a lot about how to grow your audience, or is this something that you're saying, I'm just going to turn on the camera and see what happens?
I have been thinking a lot of how I'm gonna grow my audience, how I'm gonna continue what I'm doing, because I do wanna, I've always wanted to be streaming my runs, have people to talk to while, like, I'm waiting for sets and stuff. That's always been, like, something I've loved, because I love the community aspect of Twitch mainly. Like, if I didn't want to be interacting with people, I would, if I wanted to, like, post my run somewhere, I would just record the VOD and just, like, post it to YouTube, like, and unlist it. But I've always loved the idea of, like, streaming runs, interacting, like, having hype moments, and having, like, people with me to celebrate with. That's just something I've always liked, and I've wanted to continue that. But I wanted to do a lot on streaming. I wanted to play other games. I wanted to like, just see how it goes, and, like, just try building an audience and and just kind of, like, like, building an audience and building, like, a name for myself for being, like, just, like, a cool person to watch. Because I have the incredibly, like, energetic side of me that plays a lot of that's the Melee side, I would say. That, like, I'm really happy when I hit stuff, I'm popping off, I'm doing it. But then I have, like, the chill side of me that wants to just, like, play Minecraft and talk to people. And, like, I've been doing that on my stream, and that's been not going as bad as I thought it would. It's been going okay, which is way better than what I would have told you how it would go, like 2 months ago. If I told you, like, oh yeah, you'd be streaming Minecraft, it would have went, oh, I'd have 0 viewers, and then I'd cry. But I didn't. I didn't have 0 viewers, and it was incredible. And I was talking to chat, I was having a nice time. I was talking with friends while playing, and like it was way more fun than I thought. So like I'm gonna be, I think, just continuing along, just like playing what I want to play, talking with the people I want to talk to, and like kind of trying to grow my stream from like a brand concept, because like I've wanted to start uploading to YouTube at some point. I wanted to start like implementing more stuff. I still have a ton of stuff I need to do for my Twitch stream, because I haven't made emotes yet. Like I have 40 subs and I don't know what I want my emotes to be, and because I don't know, I just never made them.
Oh no.
So like yeah, so like I'm right now I am like the worst streamer in like history of streaming when it comes to like the rewards my subs get. Because at this point, if I have a sub, they are doing it solely to support me. But the problem is, it's like, I just like, I do want like to give them something in return. Because like, I really do appreciate like every sub I've gotten. I've gotten like a lot of subs recently. Like 40, like I've streamed for a month and I've gotten 40 subs, which is like crazy in my mind, because I would have told you that no one would have subbed to me. But I'm actually going to get payout, which is crazy, because that's like the magic number. So I'm loving it.
I'm really glad to hear that you are enjoying it, but also feeling like the part that it's not as enjoying is the part where you're going, oh, I could be doing a lot more and I'm not. So it just like comes down to a time management thing, would you say? Is that something that you feel like you struggle with? Or is it just like, I can't possibly decide everything at once, so we're going to tackle one thing at a time and we will get the emotes when we get the emotes?
I think that that is something, actually, that you're right. It is a problem with time management, because for me, like I said earlier, when it comes to brackets, when I decide to stream, I am normally deciding 30 minutes before I stream, because I'm like, yeah, I'm in the mood, fuck it, let's do it today, and then I'll go and do it, and that's like that's how I kind of decide it. So then like I think about my stream a lot, and I've been thinking about what I want my stuff to be, but it's hard for me to like figure out the next step. And I'm always, because for a long time I did want to stream. Like I've wanted to do this for like a while. Like I thought about it a lot. So when I finally hit like start streaming on the first day of streaming that I did, that was like a big moment for me. And that like because the time, like I finally invested the time to set up everything. So like now I have to continue investing a certain amount of time and effort that like into like kind of finishing what I started. But because I'm just so excited that I hit start streaming, I just forget to include that. Like I forget to finish what I did, and like and it's been a problem for me. But I'm planning on like contacting some artists soon to get some cute emotes. I'm probably gonna have something cute with like a bee, because at this point I've decided that's I determined early on that I was either gonna go with something bee themed or something bat themed. And then I liked Tyler, the creator's Flower Boy, and then I just opted for bee-themed.
I think it's going to work great for you, and I'm excited to see what you continue to do out of your stream. I think that it's cool to hear that, like, not that, like, you're, like, a real person. That's not the right way to put it, but something that resonates with me as I listen to you talk is making a big decision to do something and just being like, okay, can we not do big decisions for a little while? I'm still just kind of like absorbing this part of it. All right. I've only been streaming for a little while, and then other people might be looking at you and going like, okay, but you've been streaming for a few months now. So can we, you need to start to make your next big step. We're all kind of waiting for you to do that. Like for me, deciding the podcast was like a really big deal, and I was excited just to do that. And I started to realize, oh, wait, I have to get better at this. This is not really that great. But I'm thinking to myself, come on, I'm finally doing something. I'm making content for the first time in my life ever that, like, is actually anything meaningful. So that's a big deal. But I'm really the only one who thinks it's a big deal, so I have to just keep chugging along.
I think I think that the big thing is because it's kind of where society is at. Because I've heard this. I can't remember who said this, but I thought it was really interesting. But we're in a culture that responds to growth by wanting more growth. Like, and that's kind of what it is. Like, people see my stream and they see it growing, so they want me to grow alongside of it just as quickly as it's growing, which is, I think, which is hard to do immediately. Like, I'm sure, like, once the ball starts rolling, I mean, it's going to be way easier to start, like, growing with the growth of my stream, I think. Or maybe it won't be, who knows. But, like, same thing with the podcast for you, where it's probably something like, all right, the podcast is starting to do, like, a little bit better. It's starting to get things, like, and now people are expecting more. And that's just kind of how it works, I think. And the problem with Twitch streaming is that people are expecting more live. Like, I'm not taking criticism, like, in the YouTube comments after that I'll work on for my next video. I'm taking criticism in the moment. that is a hard factor for me. So it's hard for me to, like, push forward through that. But, like, yeah, I'm trying my hardest, and I'm definitely gonna focus on trying to grow my stream the way I would like it to be grown, because this is something I've always wanted to do, and in that case, I want to try doing it the best I can, you know?
I think having a healthy mix of saying, hey, look, I'm doing the best I can, but also you all need to calm down. I will do it on my own time, and for those who care, they'll still be here. Like, there's a certain amount of riding the wave of momentum that you have and going like, oh, yeah, activity, and then other times where you're like, okay, there's the wave and there it goes, and I don't care. Like, I will catch the next one. I think that's part of what it is for me anyway, where I'll say to myself, oh, there's this like really big thing happening, like the summit voting that we experienced today. I think to myself, on the one hand, I want to do like an hour-long podcast where I nerd out about how that moment happened and I was so crazy and this, that, and the third. And then I also think, well, I don't have to. I'm the one who gets to decide what to do because I'm the boss of my own content. Unlike other things in life where it's like a 9-to-5 job, or actually I work 13 hours today, so it's like a 6 to whatever. And all the other obligations that you have with the content creation side, like I have for myself really leaned into saying, I'm the boss of this. No one's telling me what to do, not even the audience, although I respect and appreciate them for being there and for listening and for coming along with me. Also, I'm still at the head of the pack in a way, so I want to call the shots even still. It's a very, very odd thing to like mull over and all that kind of stuff, but it's something that all content creators before us have had to consider. So I hope that it really goes well for you, Bbatts.
Thank you. I hope the podcast continues growing and does well for you too.
Yes, thank you. One of the things that I'm looking forward to is moving into a new home in about a month or so. Ooh. And then getting internet finally, because I've been doing all of this with just a hotspot, no internet at the apartment. So looking to do like, actual things in the hopefully near future. We shall see, but internet will be so nice. I might even get to play Slippy. That would be great. That would be awesome. It would be cool to even get like walloped by your Peach in a bracket maybe, because I'm out here in Lancaster, PA. It's near Harrisburg, so I don't know if you know where Harrisburg is, but it's still Eastern PA. So our connection would hopefully be good, hopefully.
I've played playable sets with people from Cali, so don't worry, like you're going to be fine. Like even if you got 10 up, 10 down, we'll make it work.
It is not going to be 10 up and 10 down. I am going to hopefully have closer to the gigabit stuff, but we shall see. Okay, so that's content creation, that's streaming. It is something that I admire, even for somebody like you, where you're not being super bombarded by like thousands and thousands of viewers. Hopefully that will happen for you. It's just that I hope that you have time to figure all of it out now before it starts to really get like out of control and crazy, because the more you do, like and the better you get. It's kind of, that is something that I would be interested in hearing from you about, actually. That idea of you get good at game, then people go, oh, you good at game, we follow you, we will ride and die with you. Like, when you have seen all of the big players and looking up to those kind of people and saying, I want to be there, I want to compete, you obviously admire and respect what they do, but it's sort of like that thing that people talk about, like top player privilege is probably like a sect of that conversation, but just mainly with the idea of how much do you matter in the grand scheme of things if you're not pressing buttons good. But like, what are your thoughts about that for yourself?
For myself, I think my goal's always been to get there, right? Because like at the end of the day, if you're looking to watch like the best player at a game, I'm not like the guy to watch at the end of the day. I'm not the best Melee player. I honestly don't even know if I'm the best. Like am I the best Peach streamer right now? Like active, I might be. But in that case, God help us.
I was just trying to remember. Is Triff streaming right now? Oh no.
Yeah, I was like Triff. Yeah, Triff really isn't streaming. Lod doesn't stream too often consistently.
Kalamazoo doesn't stream.
Keizu doesn't stream. Wally doesn't stream.
Blues Clues. I guess Cupid from in the West Coast streams, but like Cupid's more of like a TO nowadays because this is somebody who you haven't heard of. But anyway, shout outs to Cupid. Love the stream. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh my God, am I getting followers because I'm the best Peach streamer right now? Because if so, please God, don't follow me for that. You're gonna be disappointed. Like I have, please no. But
Bbatts, can we call this episode the best Peach streamer, featuring Bbatts?
Please do not call it that. Please. People are going to look at my clips and watch me get fucked on by Moki. I guess no, Nico does stream. Nico does stream like once a month, which I'll qualify. So Ryobeat is better than me. So thank God. People follow Ryobeat if you want a better Peach streamer. But like a better Peach. But like I think my goal has always been like I want people to watch me because I'm me. Right? Like whether I'm playing Melee or playing Minecraft or whatever, because the majority of people, I'll even say 95% of people, right off the bat, are only going to follow me because of Melee and nothing else, right? Like 95% of people who know of me who know of me, it's probably like 99%. It's gonna be they know me as that Peach player who did some good things sometimes. So like. I've always wanted to kind of garner that type of audience where it's like people, whether you come from Melee or I'm streaming Minecraft and you clicked on LGBTQ Minecraft streamer blah 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 and you somehow found me in the middle of 30 trillion others, I want people to like me because I'm me, you know. I don't think I'm a hateable person. Some people do hate me. In that case, your loss. But I don't think I'm like I think I'm like a pretty chill guy when I try to be, and I think I'm a pretty hype guy when I try to be, and like both of those are good to have while streaming. And I think that I hope that people when they watch me kind of understand that I'm with you, I'm with them, you know. I'm trying to build that kind of community that like I relate to, like that I want to have the unhealthiest parasocial relationship with my fans in history. I want to be deeper than Dream stands, you know, like that's where I'm trying to be.
Holy shit!
That's a joke. I swear. I'm just trying to chill with people, okay? And if people defend me after I reveal that I was using macros in the middle of GOML, if they defend me after that, I'll be okay with that. You know, I'm not gonna tell them no. That'll make me so happy if I get like Dream Stand level attention, because that means I made it. Like. A 13-year-old dying on their blade for me would be the goal, you know? They're like, yeah, no, I don't care. He's still the best player in the world, even though I'm not even close to the best player in my state yet. That's my goal. That's what I want to be.
So I hope that you're able to get there. I think that you have a lot of that already. I mean, this is it obviously depends on the person who I'm talking to, but I would say, of course, just as a feedback for you while we're live and recording, you're very personable and you have lots of energy. So for when you're on, you seem to be ready to be on. So I'm gonna definitely have to drop a follow at the very least for twitch.tv/Bbatts. So also will be in the description of this here podcast episode. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about that community building aspect, this is something that you might want to speak to, or if you want to speak about it less, that's all fine and well, but I'm just curious about in regards to garnering a community together to say, hey, we're here to support each other, and to be like, hey, like, I understand you, you understand me. This is not something that I am in because I don't claim to be in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm not, but for you, you're at the very least competing in Gayle events, and I think that's very cool that Gayle exists in the first place, so that's really, really cool. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, has the community gathering and wanting each other to succeed aspect come from there, or what else has been the inspiration for you?
Honestly, Gayle is like a good part of that. I would say like it's a part of it for me personally, because I'm gay. Hello, if you didn't know that about me, I mained Peach. Figure it out. But I'd say a big part of it honestly came from the people I've kind of opted to be around, because I've kind of like through my brothers in my real life, because thankfully I have a loving family, like a one that has supported me doing what I do. Like not many parents and not many brothers would sit down in the living room and put on their little brother's Xanadu top 8 because I'm playing in it. So that helps me a lot, where it's like I have a community at home of people who support me and want me to improve. But I'd say it's the people I've like by the way, actually really quickly, just shout outs to my brothers and shout outs to mom and dad, because they're great. And like I can't believe that they watched Xanadu top 8. That's actually so funny to me. Like I still think about that. But what do you call it? I think it came from a lot of the people in the server I mentioned, Buffalo Melee, because I think that there's a lot of people there, like, where like we'll talk, we'll even shit talk each other sometimes, because like people do that, I mean, in gaming communities. But like when we succeed and when each of us do things, like we normally talk, we're like, dude, congratulations on doing that, by the way, that was ridiculous, that was incredible and stuff, and like and like we kind of just keep each other pumped up. And I think that kind of community is always one I've wanted to kind of formulate, because I've learned a lot of people don't really have communities like that. There's a lot of communities that, especially in gaming, where you're not really pumped up a lot. You're not really like so your goals aren't really, your friends aren't really there, and they're like, oh yeah, congratulations about that. They'll just kind of like be quiet about it and move on. So like I've always kind of valued like congratulating people on like their achievements and stuff, and kind of building a community around like celebrating each other for like what they've done, because I think it's always so cool to do that. Like what I spoke about earlier, and the reason why I'm like I've never had that mindset of like endless growth without being happy. It's like I think the way I've avoided going even back to that, like the way I've avoided burning out is because I've celebrated what I've been able to do, and I've had people who have helped me, like who have supported me and who've like congratulated me and stuff, and like that means a lot. And I think when you have support, it's way easier to not get burnt out, and it's way easier to continue. And just support is great. I love support. And that's why I kind of wanted to build a community around that.
It's almost it's a small part of how you want to give back in a way. Like you almost feel like as big of a deal as other initiatives can be for like, you know, raising money or any sort of thing that's like along the lines of charitable. Another really amazing thing that you can do for somebody, for a fellow human being, is to be supportive, to listen, to give a little bit of time to. And I think that is one really, really cool way to build a community, because you'll find people who want to do that as well, or want to learn how to do that, and then you just change the world one step at a time. Oh, I'm getting a little feelsy. Okay, that was very, very cool to hear you. Sorry, say that again.
I'm a feelsy guy, you know. I hit people right in the feels.
Yes.
In my streams, everyone's crying.
You got hit markers.
Exactly.
So the last topic of discussion that in terms of what we have, or what we kind of talked about a little bit before we started recording, was a little bit about the events of today. Today was the last day for Summit 11 vote-ins, and it was Nun and Yangling, the person that no one's heard of in Melee except for the past month-ish. No, not even a month. It's probably been only like 2 weeks, where all of a sudden people are getting ratioed by Air Yangling on Twitter and wherever else. But from your perspective, when you're seeing this vote-in process, and you're seeing it up close since you're more involved than ever with the Melee community, like what has your takeaway been from all that?
My takeaway is I now have 2 Summit wins, and I'm happy about them.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah, no, but no. In actuality, my takeaway is I'm very happy with the majority of vote-ins. I'm sad Wizzy didn't get in. But it's been really interesting seeing like the other side of a lot of this, because at the end of the day, I haven't been active in this community kind of deeper in. I've always been like I was like a 3-2er when the last summit happened, right? But like now that I'm kind of deeper in, I have a lot more friends who are closer. It's really interesting seeing like a lot of these things like closer up than you would have, and like knowing like more about people and stuff, and just kind of seeing how everything folded. But this summit, this voting was absolutely crazy. I find it really funny that Yingling was one of the last vote-ins, considering that he was number 1 the entire time until 5 seconds before each vote, which is actually hilarious. I love this vote-in. This vote-in process was actually so funny.
And producing the biggest prize pool in all of Melee history. It is insane to think that like it's in a lot of ways kind of marking the return of IRL Melee, despite the fact that a lot of locals have kicked up. I mean, even the local in my area has started to kick up, and I was able to go to my very first tournament by doing that a couple of Saturdays ago, so woohoo! But I'm thinking about how this entire summit vote-in process has just created a lot of weird implications in my head of like, it's a really big prize pool, so like somebody like S2J and Wizrobe, who by all counts, like everybody says, oh, they should absolutely be there, but right now they're not. There are 2 Rollback Rumble spots for the bracket this upcoming weekend that's coming up here, where the top 2 finishing players who have not yet qualified for Summit will indeed qualify for Summit. And by the way, that is because of Leffen not being able to make it over to the United States. Screw that. I really wish that Leffen could have come over. But all that to say, with the 2 spots for Rollback Rumble, first of all, are you entered in the event? And secondly, do you hope for Wizrobe and S2J to get those 2 spots if it's not yourself? Or do you want to see something crazy happen this weekend in bracket?
I want to see something crazy happen. I want Wizzy to make it in, just because I think Wizzy should have been auto-invited, because he won a week of SCL. I don't know why that wasn't in the rules, personally. I think that should have been like a free rule that they should have put in.
Especially over Zane and Mango.
Exactly. Like, Wizrobe has done something that no other player has done, and the fact that he's not invited. Like, Wizzy, if going, would be like 4th seed at this event. Like 4th or 3rd seed, which is crazy. Which is why I think that it's definitely a bit foolish that he was not invited. But if honestly, like, no, like I don't know everyone who's entered, but I would love it if something crazy happened. Like I think craziness in qualifying brackets does add a lot of value, because I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a massive tournament. Hundreds of people from North America are going to be coming out for this, and everyone wants that spot. I want that spot. If I can get there, if I will not top 2 Rollback Rumble, the big one, but if I do you know, like, the reaction I will have?
Go, Bbatts. Come on. Are you entering the event, though? For reals, for reals.
I am entering. Of course I'm entering. How do I not? How do you say there's a summit spot on the line, and then 13-year-old me is fantasizing about being in the big leagues? Like, I have to enter that. There's no doubt. I won't win it. I won't get second, but I can theoretically.
It's okay. You got this.
No, I'm gonna crush it. But, like, you know, and if I do make it, I'm passing out on stream. And it'll be the fakest pass out ever done. But, like, I want this recorded here. If I win Rollback Rumble, the big one, or I play second at Rollback Rumble, the big one, I will cry and flail on my on stream, and I'm expecting bare minimum 700 subs, like, gifted. After that, and then everyone else subs as well. That's what I'm expecting. Just straight up. I want that. I want my money.
Yes, because you would have pulled off one of the most improbable tournament performances that Melee has ever seen, and probably the one that caps off the whole idea of, wow, Rollback Rumble power-ups, Rollback Era power-ups, excuse me. I crossed the 2. You get it. It would be awesome to see, and I'll be rooting for you to do that. But in the meantime, whether it's this particular summit or a future one, I'm sure you are obviously very excited about the possibility of going at some point. But the last thing to sort of wrap this up, what are your plans for the rest of this year as it pertains to you and Melee? And thoughts about what comes up here in December, being the 20th official anniversary of this game?
First off, with the future plans, I am planning on going to Riptide.
Ooh, let's go.
For my first major. I'm hoping, obviously, like everyone at their first major, to have a good run. I think that for me, being my first major, it's very probable that I can have a good run, just because, like, obviously I have the skill to do it. I just need to have the performance, which is nice. I can't lie. I'm very happy I waited to have my first major be when I actually could do well at a major, which is a very nice thing to be able to say. But in terms of the rest of this year, I think my plan was to keep streaming, keep growing, just keep on party rocking and see what happens. And honestly, it's crazy that when you say that we're going to be at the 20th year of this game, because just for the record, I understand people can do the math and figure this out. I was born 2 years after this game came out. This game's older than me, and I play it competitively, and I'm good at it competitively. Like I'm good enough to be like potentially top 100, which is nice. Which I also think is really speaks to the longevity of Melee, where you have like a ton of like kids my age, like entering and making waves in the community, as well as like older people in the community who are still able to turn out and like do well. It's crazy, and it's such a weird thing to see, because there's not many other games that can say that they're able to have like a long-lasting, good-sized community for a game that came out on a console that isn't even in the last 2 consoles developed, where they've had no developer support, no money given by Nintendo, and just like barely any help, and yet here we are with $140,000 prize pot for that's all crowdfunded, which should definitely just show how much we love this game. Like it's crazy. This is a crazy community, and I'm happy to leave the tiniest little mark on it that I have so far.
Yes, thank you for your contribution to the canvas of Melee. I do bring up that concept every once in a while, where it's just like, whatever you do, even if you casually watch maybe like a few tournaments a year like Genesis and Big House and that kind of thing, and you drop an emoji in chat or whatever, or if you're actually literally carrying your community on your back as a TO and a top ranked player, all that kind of stuff, you just contribute to that canvas. And for you, Bbatts, I've enjoyed what you've done so far and looking forward to see what you're doing in the future. And where can the people find you as you continue to pop off here so that they can follow along with the journey?
All right. Well, if you ever see me in a bracket, there is a 99.999% chance I am streaming that, or that's an imposter. And my Twitch, I'll be streaming it on Twitch. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Bbatts, BBATTS. You can find me on Twitter, where I tweet a funny tweet every 3 weeks around when I'm going live. Normally, that's how I communicate that I've decided to start streaming. And in that case, you can find me at twitter.com/Bbatts523. Don't ask about the numbers. They're not important. And honestly, that's mostly where you can find me. I'm in most Melee Discords. If you ever have a question you want to ask me, whether it's about Peach, whether it's to play me, or whether it's just to, I don't know, just talk about random stuff, I'm always down. I'm always down to talk, which in that case, just find me somewhere. I'm everywhere on online Melee right now. And that's basically all about me.
And one more time to one of the many number 10 ranked New Jersey players for Melee. Bbatts, thank you so much for joining me on Bottom of the Smash Mountain.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Thank you for joining me for yet another interview. We just keep doing that interview thing, don't we? It is thanks to individuals like you listening to the podcast right now, where I can say, hey, I have a listening audience, see? Actually, only one person has really been like, oh, well, how many listeners do you have? And I said, how many? And they said, yeah, I'm not coming on. So that was fun. Anyway, Oh my gosh, Nick Yangling got into Summit. So for those of you who follow me on Twitter at Cypher003, that's my personal Twitter. I didn't really campaign super hard with my at BSM pod Twitter account, but you can follow that as well. You'll get updates about when the newest episodes drop. Anyway, I am talking in regards to how on my personal Twitter, I have become the fish. That's right. I became one of the many fish characters from SpongeBob and changed my name to I am Nicholas Yangling. I did all that. When I had on the cheat, within 24 hours, I was campaigning hard for Yangling, a person who I have never met in person and have only interacted with on the internet, and I did not really know that they existed until about 2 weeks ago. But I was going hard for Yangling because I saw a very important opportunity here. So let's talk about this concept. Let's first of all talk about how Yangling does not deserve to be at Summit. Well, if you base that off of tournament performances, yes, you could say that Yangling, in fact, does not deserve to go to Summit. But why is that? Is it because only top players are allowed to go and compete because they have the best chance of winning? One simple way to solve that issue, to solve that question or debate, is who has ever snuck into a summit and won? Who has ever been reasonably within reason had a chance of winning summit and won? Usually the person who wins summit is usually a top 5 player. So off the top of my head, well, actually, I'll do better than that. I will pull up summit results from each Smash Summit, and I will tell you who the winner of those events were. So if I just look up Smash Summit winners, and then I pull that up, and then we'll get some winners from each of the events. So for Smash Summit, we have Armada. For Smash Summit 2, we have Armada. For Smash Summit 3, we have Armada. For Smash Summit Spring 2017, we have Armada. For Smash Summit 5, we have Hungrybox. Oh, okay, Hungrybox. Somebody besides Armada. For Smash Summit 6, we have Mewtwo King. That's right. And by the way, beat Armada in Grand Finals. So just in case anybody was curious. Oh, and by the way, Armada got second as well to Hungrybox the year before. So Armada so far in these summits has gotten first, second. For Smash Summit 7, we have Hungrybox. This time edging out Leffen in Grand Finals. So Armada's nowhere to be found. And you know the reason why that is because Armada retired before that Smash Summit. And then for Smash Summit 8, we have Axe, who is by far and away, as we continue down the list here, the outlier of players who win this tournament. But let's move on. We'll come back to that. Smash Summit 9, Hungrybox. And finally, Smash Summit 10 Online, Zane. Every single time, except for Axe, that we crowned a winner of Smash Summit, it was arguably the best player in the world at that time. Now, it's a shame because Mango doesn't seem to perform super well at summits for whatever reason. So I always think to myself, surely Mango has won a summit, but that is not true, or at least not yet. Hey, there's a summit coming up and we're talking about it. Maybe Mango will win that one. But all that to say, well, in fairness, okay. So Mango's never won a summit, but he's won plenty of other things. And Hungrybox has never won a Smash Con. So there you go. All right. So all the players that have won except for Axe has definitely earned that, is definitely in contention for top player in the world. Bare minimum a top 3 player. Now, Axe being the outlier here because in 2019, Axe was playing very, very well and placing top 3 in a bunch of important tournaments such as Genesis, where I guess it was Genesis 6 that Hungrybox won over Axe. So Axe got second in that tournament. And then for Get On My Line, Get On My Level, GOML 2019 got second to Mango, and that was the first tournament that Mango had won in a little while, by the way. And then winning Smash Summit 8. All that to say, was playing very, very well at the time and was kind of flirting with top 5 territory. So not necessarily a case of getting 17th or 13th or 9th at different majors and then all of a sudden having a random breakout performance. It was still a breakout performance and one for the ages, one that has had documentaries made about it. In fact, you should check out Turn Down for Walt's YouTube channel and look up something about the summit and Axe. But if you look up Turn Down for Walt and look up Axe, you'll get it. Excuse me. So when it comes to who deserves to go, you obviously want to have the top 5 players, top 8 players, but for the last 8 players that make up a top 16, usually 16 or so players are who make up the roster of Smash Summit players. There's a reason why they have vote-ins, because you could make the argument for every summit that somebody deserves to go more than another person. So they have play-in spots, they have invites, and they have vote-in spots. This is a very good concept. I feel like it's the fairest concept that they can have, because no matter what you do, it's not going to be ideal. You'll get people mad because all the players that were invited, all invites. Then somebody will go, well, you should have invited this player, and then everybody's mad. Or what if it was play in and win and you're in? Sorry, you get a play-in spot. And then somebody goes, well, that's not fair because so-and-so can't travel right now, but we'll be able to travel when the summit happens, and that's not fair. You're punishing them for not being able to travel in this specific time frame and blah, blah, blah. So somebody would be mad then. And then let's pretend that it's all vote-in spots. You have every single player that goes to Summit is a player that is voted in. The prize pots would be ginormous, because I assume that having more vote-ins means having more rounds of cutoff times and whatnot, and having spirit bombs times 3 of what it is now. And that would be utter insanity just to get in the players that should be in, players like Mango, players like Zane in the current landscape of Melee. And people would be mad, because that means that in all likelihood, it would be more of like a cash grab operation. Not that it isn't a cash grab operation. I think that Beyond the Summit does a very good job of making sure that they come out in the green for their events. Very fair, because it's the top 5 event every year, and every time it happens, everybody's excited, everybody's hype, and everybody talks very positively about the experience overall. It's a great production on stream. The commentating couch, the fact that the players play pretty much by themselves up in the room where the CRT is and the cameras, that maybe there's somebody else in the room for a brief minute, but it's pretty much just the players. And then everybody's downstairs around the couch or on the couch doing commentary or eating pizza. Shout outs to Axe. But this is the kind of event where, as an invitational, everybody starts to assume that you should have the right people go, and that is the top players. But here's why I think someone like Nick Yingling attending this event, because he got voted in by the masses to go. That's the whole meat of this discussion. Why does Nick Yingling deserve to go over another person, in particular a top player like Wizzy or S2J, the 2 players that he and Nunn beat out by getting voted into Summit 11? What I will say, it's a little bit of a weird take, but please bear with me for a second here. Melee needs a pick like this. This is the first tournament coming back where a lot of the top players are gathered in person to play against one another. A lot of locals have been happening. I don't know how many events and locals IRL that top players are attending, but I can't imagine it's a ton that they're going to, because what's the point? That's easy clap win for them. They'll make more money by streaming. So that's an interesting quandary for the locals moving forward. Somebody pointed this out, probably Blur. But anyway, they're going to all finally be in one place. A few of the players are missing. Sadly, Leffen is not there, that kind of thing. A lot of European players ought to be considered, but I'm glad Pipsqueak gets to go, which hopefully that will remain the case, because as of now, Pipsqueak is not entirely sure if he'll be allowed into the United States or not. But hopefully Pipsqueak will be there to represent Europe instead of Leffen. Either way, that's unfortunate. I think it's great that someone like Nick Yingling goes, because Nick Yingling represents every single one of the rest of us. I have nothing against top players, but what I will say is that as a grassroots community where we have to fund pretty much everything ourselves, run pretty much everything ourselves, and usually in spite of the fact that the powers that be would rather us not exist, is that we are demonstrating that we can uplift a member of the community in the same way that the community uplifts the game to the rest of the world. Where in another community would an important behind-the-scenes person who runs tournaments and such, like Yingling, would he be voted in if it were any other fighting game tournament where it was an invitational? I don't know. I'm not claiming that only in Melee is it possible, but what I am saying is that it is awesome that for the biggest summit voting bonanza ever, where tens of thousands of dollars were spent, the least likely voting that Summit has ever seen for Melee, the least likely one where a quote-unquote meme pick like Nick Yingling would get voted in, is the one where he gets voted in. It means that we can get a W even as someone who's not a quote-unquote top player. We don't just care about the top players and serve their every whim, or however the detractors would say it. I don't even think that's true as someone who is a little bit more involved with Melee. But like I'm trying to get out here, like I've said a few times already, we can do much more than that. When we unite under a common cause or find someone to uplift who is not a top player and succeed in doing that, I think that's a big win for the morale of the Melee community as a whole, because we just succeeded. For those of us who campaigned for Yingling and voted for Yingling, got to be a part of that movement, we succeeded in telling the rest of the fighting game community and anyone on the internet who would listen that Melee is more than just its top players. A little bit of a weird take, and I don't know how much it sticks, but that's how I feel in my mind. That's what I feel was said today. A meme? Sure. A crazy operation by the Arizona faithful, including the one and only Mikey, who was on my podcast last week. Great interview. You should check it out. That was crazy in a lot of ways, but what I am taking away from this is that Melee will fight for each member of the community as long as you have the right leadership to steer everyone in that direction. So I give a lot of credit to Yingling, I give a lot of credit to the Cheat, and to all the other fish people out there on the internet. If you happen to be listening to this, I want to say thank you for doing your part as well. I, for myself, was not able to contribute a whole lot, but obviously it's great to have the Cheat on and to endorse Yingling on the podcast for whatever that's worth. And then for me to drop fish as possible. Sorry, I have a really dry throat. I need water. So I was so thrilled to see that Yangling is going to go to Summit 11. I really hope that it results in at least a game 1. A set 1 would be insanity, especially in bracket. But Yangling, even if you don't win a single game that quote-unquote matters, like a bracket or whatever tournament set, even if you don't win a single game, it's still awesome that you got voted in, and I'm so happy to have been able to do my small little part in all of that. Again, contribute to the Melee canvas, like I was saying with Bbatts a little bit earlier. I'm just so happy that we're more than just what the top players are. I really do feel like the little guy won today. Not trying to imply, by the way, in all this that Yangling sucks and is just like supposed to be the poster child or the poster man of the 0-2 movement, because Yangling has had better results than that and is a regionally ranked player in Arizona in some, or at least in part of, I don't know how they divide up that state, but I'm, again, just trying to say that for someone who is not nationally recognized or known, as someone who does a lot for their individual scene, it's really cool to see that reward of the homies willing you into Summit and finding whales. Where did those whales come from? Seriously, it was like 50,000 or something. No, it was more than 50,000. In the last 10 minutes, Nick Yangling went from about 100K to 170K, something crazy like that. So it was more than 50,000 votes in less than 10 minutes, in less than like 2 minutes almost. It was insanity, and good for the whales. Whoever funded that operation, thank you, because that was really hyped to see. So that's pretty much all I have. I don't want to get into super specifics or call out anybody's tweets, but if you want to participate in this discussion in some way continually, I've already given you my socials, and you can find them in the description of this podcast anyway. Do be sure to subscribe to whatever platform you're using, and my channel, show, podcast thingy. YouTube, for example. I need more YouTube subscribers. Why? To feed my ego, of course. So please do that. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day / evening / midnight snack. We shall catch you on the next episode of Bottom of the Smash Mountain.